In this section, we're talking about the difference quotient. So you see the difference quotient at the top, and that will be provided for you on your quiz and your midterm and exams and such. You don't have to memorize it. But when I do the difference quotient, I break it into 3 steps. I do this step right here, the f of x plus h part, and then I do the actual difference, which would be this part here across the top, and then lastly I do the divide by h part. Let me change colors there. Lastly, I do the divide by h part. So it's called a difference quotient because you do a difference and you also do the quotient. So in this particular problem, I ask you to find and simplify this difference quotient, and here's what it looks like. The first step that I'm going to do is this piece right here, and that's the hardest part. So looking at my function, I want to find f of x plus h. Now we worked a couple of these in our previous section that looked something similar. So you have 3x squared plus x plus 5. Okay, so that's how the function looks when you take the x's out. But remember, when you take the x's out, you replace it by what's ever in parentheses. So what's in parentheses is x plus h. So that means x plus h is going to go in all the holes. Now for your difference quotients, x plus h is always going to be what you insert where x was. I'm going to come over here to the side and do a little scratch work. See this x plus h squared? I need to come over here and square that out. X plus h squared means I write it twice and FOIL it out. You'll see that you might get an xh and an hx. They are the same thing. So when you do your FOILing here, you're multiplying, you'd get a 2xh there. Okay, so plugging that value back in, you have a 3, and then you have your expression in green where we multiplied it out. Then you have your x plus h plus 5. You'll say you took the parentheses off of the second one. I did because there's an understood 1 right there. So 1 times x and 1 times h, I kind of just did that step. Okay, so what I get when I clean this up is 3x squared plus 6xh plus 3h squared plus x plus h plus 5. So what you actually calculated there was this piece right here. Great. So one step is done. Okay. So looking at that, I'm going to rewrite the blue part, 3x squared plus 6xh plus 3h squared plus x plus h plus 5. Okay, so that's what I see here that has the blue x over it. That's part 1. Okay, following along my difference quotient up there, I then have a negative. So there's my negative. And the next thing that I have is f of x. Well, f of x is your original function. So my original function is 3x squared plus x plus 5. Here's your original function. Once you get there, you'll just do the subtracting. You can distribute the negative or you can just look at it if you'd like. I'm going to say a 3x squared minus 3x squared, those subtract out. X minus x, that subtracts out. And 5 minus 5, that subtracts out. Move it up a little. There we go. So what I have at this point, oops, sorry, let me put it back. Now then, try it one more time. What I have at this point is 6xh plus 3h squared plus h. That's all that's left there. Everything else is marked out. So what that's taken care of is this step. So my final step in this difference quotient is to divide by h. You'll say, divide what by h? Everything that's left. So I'm going to divide this piece by h, and this piece by h, and this piece by h. So when I divide the first one, that leaves me with a 6x. When I divide the second one, that leaves me with a 3 and 1h left over, and h divided by h would give me 1. And that's how it would look. Okay, let's try one more of these. I'll go a little bit quicker through it and show you some shortcuts. The first thing I want to do is find f of x plus h. So I have x squared minus 7x plus 3. I took the x's out. I'm going to leave that blank in your notes for now. Okay, remember what you're going to do is whatever in parentheses is what you're going to put in parentheses. Okay, I'll go to the side and I'll square out x plus h. It's exactly what we squared out earlier, though. So when I square this out, I'm going to get x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. I'll distribute the 7, so that's a minus 7x and a minus 7h plus 3. Okay, that takes care of this blue piece right here. Now I'll tell you what, instead of rewriting the whole thing, I'm going to take this equals off right here. Let's just play off the back of it. So I've got my f of x plus h, that's this, let me put that x back in there, sorry about that, I had the wrong button marked. Now, just trying this again, that's what I've outlined in green or put in parentheses there, that's the f of x plus h, that's step 1. This piece right here with a check mark. So then you do a minus, and then you do this piece, which is again the original function, x squared minus 7x plus 3. The second one is always the original function. Now you're welcome to put more steps in there, but you can distribute the negative if you want, but mainly you're just crossing them out. X squared minus x squared. Negative 7x, two negatives make a positive 7x. 3 minus 3. So at the end of this step, you'd end up with 2xh plus h squared minus 7h. That takes care of this piece. Your final step in this one is to divide by h. Divide what by h? Everything. Divide by h, divide by h, divide by h. So when you simplify this, that leaves you with a 2x plus h minus 7. And that's what it would look like.